Shalom, Malcolm. It's your brother Malcolm. I first and foremost like to give all thanks, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Double honors unto the apostles, the true elders of all Israel on earth today. And salutations to you Akim out there on the four corners of the earth that are doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking your lives and your freedom to do so. All right. I've got a new camera, so I'm trying to figure out how to adjust it and work it. Just coming at you with another lesson of truth. And basically, you know, this is a video response to some of the madness that I've been seeing, like this whole so-called BHI and things of that nature, man. The KKK trying to open their mouths and, you know, first of all, referring to people as black that are clearly not black, that are brown. All right. That's when you hear that word, man, that's total propaganda, man. And it's also a form of white superiority, so-called, because the truth of the matter is no one is white, no one is black, you know, and it's almost like I'm getting tired of sounding like a broken record trying to get that point across to people. You have brown people, different shades, and you have red people, all right? Right? You have different shades of red. You got red people that are a little bit darker, and then you have red people that are a little bit paler, and then you have red people that are very, very red pinkish. All right? So just like there are different shades of people who are brown complected, from a light brown that's even going close to pale to a really dark brown. Here's a relic that speaks truth from, I think, the 5th century. And in this relic, all right, you can clearly see the different shades of brown. Even in this relic, man, the angel is super dark, kind of the way with woolly hair, and the saints are dark with afros with woolly hair. All right, and see, that's what this is all about, man. Just speaking and telling the truth, man. All right, but you get up to the 14th century, to late 14th century, going into the 15th century, and all of a sudden, this happens. All right. And this is what they can't stand, man. The simple truth. But, you know, Christianity is terrorism, man. And it's in opposition to the Bible. And it was pushed through terrorists. OK, I have here quite a few number of books. This is a really good series right here. There's Kissinger Legacy reprints. All right. The Edomites, 1888. By Mary T. Witter. See, scholars know who the Edomites are. Books and information like this are purposely left from textbook teaching in modern day schools, because the so-called Edomite, the so-called white man who is the Edomite, does not want you to know his true identity. That they are the Edomites, man. All right. William Beeston, The Roman Empire of the Edomites. This is one of my favorites, man. 1853. This guy was a Cambridge scholar, man. All right. A Cambridge scholar. Then you have this one, Kissinger Legacy, from the Legacy, Kissinger Legacy reprints by Ptolemy Delacoste by John Phillips. And it's The Tears of the Indians, being historical and true account of the cruel massacres and slaughters of above 20 million innocent people. See, that's Christianity. That's what Christianity brought you. The same people who make the Disney cartoons, who make all the Christmas movies and all the little Home Alone and all the little Christmas movies and cartoons and holiday season. These are the descendants of those people. And these are the acts that put them in the position that they are. And this is what they ignore, man. And I'm always talking about people being ignorant, and they are ignorant to the truth, which means the root word in ignorant is ignore, man. All right. So let's get a couple scriptures, man, that you can't get around. This is something that I'd like to hear you Edomites, you know, talk about, man. Explain this. OK, this is Romans 9 and verse 13. OK, and it reads, as it is written, I have loved Esau, but I have hated, but Esau, Salakia, I read that so wrong, Salakia. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. Okay? I would really like to hear you explain that, because it's just told you right here. Okay? About the Edomites, man. And Edom is the Edomites. Esau's name was changed to Edom, man. And the Romans, which you clearly claim is your people, which are your people, and the Roman society was run and controlled by Edomites up until it fell by the hand of these people who took it over. Hence the reason why they hate it so much. And hence the reason why the Renaissance had to be pushed the way that it was, man. They were trying to cover up lies. Let's get another scripture that we'd like for you terrorist Christians to explain. Because if you're still pushing Jesus when the name is Yahushua, the letter J was not even created till 1634. So that completely kills Jesus and Jehovah. So if you're pushing that, you're already pushing a lie, because you aren't pushing a name. Then if you're saying Yeshua or Yahweh or anything to that nature, you're pushing that Eleazar ben Yehudi lie when he changed the Hebrew and mixed it with Yiddish, man. And brought those vowel points, brought in the German, Yiddish, and Slavic languages. Okay? So the real terrorists are you modern day Christians, man. You Jehovah Witnesses, you Catholics, because, well, let's read. This is Romans 13, 9 and 10. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. So the saints are patiently waiting to put into captivity those that put them in captivity, and they're patiently waiting to kill with the sword those who kill with them with the sword. All right? And the tears of the Indians, all right, which I'm going to go into these three books that I'm holding here. But in the tears of the Indians, being a historical and true account of cruel massacres of slaughters of above 20 million people, of 20 million innocent people, that was done by Edomites, man. Christians, Catholics, Protestants. That was done by them. And the same way they took America, man. With the celebration of Thanksgiving, which you ignorantly call Thanksgiving, man. Okay? Now let's get into some things that I wrote down. Just through the spirit, whatever scriptures pop up to my head, I bring out. But this is here's some historical facts that can be Googled. You can Google these for yourself. But in 1682, Virginia, all right, there was a bunch of laws. I actually downloaded them to my phone. All right, but in 1682, there were two. In 1664 and in 1682, there were two very weird laws that happened. As a matter of fact, this book, The Indian Slave Trade, all right, saying that for any fool wants to say that they're not Israelites with this whole black, all right, because Native Americans are they fit the curses and the curses happen to them, okay? But in 1664 and in 1682, there were two things that happened that were very, very, a little off. And here's one of them. Indians and blacks were classified as Negroes. Look it up. Google it right now. Pause the video and Google it. Okay? Virginia state law. Okay? So, yeah, in 1682, Negroes and Native Americans were both classified Negroes. Okay? Because they knew that they were the same people. And there's also artifacts to prove how dark, relatively dark, the natives were to how they are today after all the Edomite rape and murder. I mean, if you killed, once again, it's talking about above 20 million. It was way more than that. They killed almost 77 million just here in America, man. Those soldiers were raping for generations Native women who were dark-complected women. And it was written into laws and into books and they gave more favoritism to the ones who came out lighter complected over the generations, man. As a matter of fact, even down in Mexico and other parts of South America, If you were dark complected, you weren't even allowed to buy property, man. Only the lighter complected or the pale looking Hispanic, so to call, were allowed to buy property and prosper, man. You were treated nice, and they did the same thing on the slave plantations, man. That was the difference between a house nigger and a field nigger. All right. And then it was also to create that division, man, which you can clearly see among all the tribes, man, including among the Northern Kingdom, because among the Hispanics, they have that issue with dark skin and light skin as well, man. All right. Referring to each other as negras or negro or there was a name that the Mexicans use, Issacharites, which I can't recall right now. It's terminology is leaving me. If you watch that television, that series on Celia Cruz, man, which is really good, it's about 80 parts to it. You can clearly see that among Manasseh in Cuba, how the hatred and the discontent between pale Israelites or pale looking Israelites or lighter complected Israelites versus darker complected Israelites in Cuba, man. You could clearly see it, man. So that was done at the hands of Esau, man. Okay. The next law that was interesting, that was found in 1664 in Virginia, was that they changed the identity of the child from the father to the mother, which was in contrary to common law, which means they very well understood that you were whoever your father was. Let's get a scripture to solidify that, and then I'm going to find something in a book to back it up. All right. This is wow, that's the spirit. I think I turned right to it. This is 1 Kings 8 and 19. Wow, that was the spirit. 1 Kings 8 and 19. Nevertheless, thou shalt not build the house. Salaki, nevertheless, thou shalt not build the house, but thy son that shall come forth out of thy loins shall build the house unto my name. So your loins is your sex organ, man. Your rod, your penis, your nutsack. The man carries the seed. The man carries the person. And if you look at sperm and microscopically, they're like little people, little embryos, man. And they're shot into a womb and into an egg, and then that egg one of those sperms will make it in there, and then that egg will cover and cultivate that sperm and bring that, and then that sperm will grow into a person, and that person will come forth, man. So you came forth out of your father, and so it takes both, man. It's not discrediting the woman. The woman is needed in the process, but it doesn't take away from the fact that the man carries the life. An egg has no life. That's what that's why the woman bleeds every month, man. She gets new eggs. And that egg is prepared to receive that person into it. All right? It's simple as that, man. Okay? Let me try to find that account in the Indian slave trade where they changed that law, because that was very important. Found it. Rationale for enslavement. And here it is. It says, this is on page 46 in the Indian slave trade, where you can see the Edomites have natives fighting against natives, man. Okay? Why? Because they want their lands. And so that's what thou shalt not, I'm going to get a couple of scriptures to break down the cover of this, of this book. So I don't want to jump ahead of myself, man. My mind sometimes works faster than my tongue. But it says, okay, but on page 46, it says, two oddities characterized in the rationale. First, the law, children's status, first in law, children's status devolved from father, not the mother. The change perpetuated enslavement by making the status hereditary, a condition contrary to most African traditions. All right. It was contrary to any condition. All right. Let me go back up above that. It says, by the mid 17th century, the English had added another rationale for enslavement by determining that the children of the slave mother inherited her condition, so that the slave status passed from one generation to the next. Two oddities characterized this rationale from one generation to the next. Characterized first in law. The child status devolved from the father, not the mother. That was a change in law, man. Changing what? The heavenly law, God's law, world law. Because all nations, every place on the planet, you all were always who your father was, not who your mother was. Okay? Your mother's heritage is through her father. Okay? A woman is property of her father until she's given to her husband, man. That's why she has her family name, and then when she's given Salakia, when she's given unto her husband, she now takes on his name. And a woman is a possession, man. As a matter of fact, when you look up the word woman, when you look it up, man, you'll find out that the word woman means servant, man. That's what it means. All right, you are a servant to your household, and then your father gives you away to the husband of his choosing. All right, and then you become that man's servant, man. That's what wife means. You serve your husband, man. All right, and that's not, some people are going to take that negatively and automatically start, talking crap. But that's the way, you got a problem with it. Take it up with Yahweh, man. The Lord set it up like that. All right, the woman is a servant. She's not a servant to every damn body. She's a servant to her man. All right, and what's the problem in that? Okay. Let me see where we're going to go now. Oh, to describe this cover, man. Let's get a quick scripture. I don't want to go too long because this is actually going to be a couple parts to this series because there's so much information in these books that I want to bring out. But I'm just going off the spirit. When things pop up, we're gonna bring it out. This is Sirach 10:8 is what I wanted to get about how Esau got dominion as you saw him fighting these wars and how he was using Jake to fight Jake. Because you'll often hear Edomites say, well, your own people fought against your own people and they enslaved. Yeah, they did. They did wickedly, but that still doesn't take away from what you did to them. That still doesn't excuse you that you set it all up, okay? And that you were the beneficiary of that, and they weren't, because the wolves that sided with you, you then turned on them and did to them what you were going to do to them anyway. This is Sirach 10:8. Because of unrighteous dealings and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. So that's how, when it talks about in this book written by John Phillips, the account of Bartholomew de las Casas translated, it said, the tears of Indians being a historical and true account of the cruel massacre and slaughter of above 20 million innocent people. Yeah, you're right. It was more like 200 million people. All right, at minimum. Okay, it was probably more than 20 million people just in the island of Hispaniola alone, man. All right. But that was your Christian massacre. You're the real terrorist, man. Cristobal Colon, known as Christopher Columbus. This is Sirach 12 and 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like his iron rust of so is his wickedness. Okay, so on the cover of this book, these Israelites were trusting in these Edomites. All right, and they made deals with them. If you help us defeat this tribe, we'll give you their lands. And so they did that, but then they turned around and took it right back from them. All right. So if you trust in your enemies, that's what happened, man. And that's how they got dominion, man. Okay. Also, let's go into this one real quick. There's an account of how both the so-called Negro and the so-called Hispanic were in slavery and captivity together, man. All right. This is on page 22 in Black Indians by Lorenz Katz. Okay. And it's more in this book too, but it says 2 men captured 70 Native Americans and brought them back to Santo Domingo as slaves. The first European act on what is now U.S. soil was the making of slaves of free men and women. So they were making slaves of both the natives, and it didn't stop there. Oh, no, it didn't stop there. They continued to, that's why it's called a transatlantic slave trade. It's a triangular slave trade, man. All right. So they were going from from Africa, all right, from the west coast of Africa, where the Israelites, the Southern Kingdom, had fled to, leave from Jerusalem, you know, about 1,700 years prior, into the Americas, into the islands, all right, and then they would make a triangle trip back, and then the ships would be full of natives. And here's another account to prove it. This is page 26 of Black Indians. It says Christopher Columbus, whose unique seamanship and courage had opened up the Americas to European penetration, also began the transatlantic slave trade. So the transatlantic slave trade began with the natives, man. It's telling you that. Okay? So-called the Northern Kingdom, which I am a part of. You got scoffers out there who want to, you know, bump that garbage, talk running their mouths, man. He started by shipping 10 chained Arawak men and women to Seville, Spain. All right? And there's an image that is floating around the internet of some Argentinians who are very dark, way darker than me, dark like so-called Negroes, in chains on their way going into slavery, man, a whole family. And they were put into zoos the same way Negroes were here, man. So you European Edomites always saying, well, my family wasn't even here when all that happened. You Europeans did the same thing over there that was done over here, man, with your Christianity, which is your terrorism. Your terrorist Christianity, man. All right? You're the real terrorist, man. All right? And it says, he wrote enthusiastically to King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella about the business possibility. See, it's always about money what he saw. From here, in the name of the blessed Trinity, which is a false doctrine, your Christian terrorist false doctrine, okay, we can send all slaves that can be sold. He loaded 1,100 Taino men and women aboard 4 Spanish ships. Crowding and stormy Atlantic crossing took a fearful toll. Only 300 survived, but Columbus and Spain had decided to continue the profitable slave trade from the Americas from the Americas. Seville became the slave capital of Spain. It became the slave capital of Europe, man. One more scripture and we'll close this out, man. This portion. This is Jeremiah 50 and 33, man. Scripture that made me infamous. As you've heard me say it, I'll say it again. When you Google this scripture, my face pops up, man. Because I brought this out for so many years, man. So diligently, continuously. It said, this is Jeremiah 50 and 33. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, or let me read it properly. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah, children of Israel being the so-called Hispanics and Native Americans, and the children of Judah being the so-called Negroes, all right? Okay, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all took them captives, held them fast, and they refused to let them go. And who took them captives? We just read about it, man, in the accounts written by your own scholars, man. Lorenz Katz is Jewish, a white scholar, okay? Alain Gallet, Edomite scholar, okay? And here you go. Bartholomew Delacoste, his story translated by John Phillips. And you can read the title, man. All right? Okay? Being a historical and true account of the cruel massacres and slaughters, all right, of above 20 million of innocent people, man. And it was way more than that. And it was done by who? White terrorist Christians. With that, I'm going to say all praises and glory be unto Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS. And salutations to the Akim, all right, that are around the 4 corners of the earth that are doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedoms to do so. Abba, Babal.